radio stations or any entity associated with the contest may not enter. Persons who have won in the last 90 days from a station contest or event are not eligible. Full general contest rules are available at kslnewsradio.com.
On the surface, it seemed like just another Cinderella story.
A team that was predicted to finish dead last is now waiting to play the first round of the playoffs.
But Real Salt Lake's 2021 playoff run was so much more than what happened on the pitch.
Our club is burning to the ground.
This is the tip of the iceberg.
Making of a Moment, the RSL story, is available now.
I just kind of got chills right now thinking about it.
Follow us at makingamomentpod.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
KSL course for Christmas time, 12:59. Traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by Sinclair. Save on every gallon with the DinoPay app. Here's Ricky Meese.
Salt Lake County freeways and main secondary is pretty quiet out there, but we have now slowdowns on both north and southbound I-15. This is between Roy and Clearfield, just after 7th South Clearfield, SR 193. But that's it. Your noontime drive overall has been pretty quiet. Even though traffic is moving up north, it's a little slow on I-15 both directions, but nothing that's causing serious stop-and-go delays. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Temperatures staying in the mid-40s for most of the week, at least highs in the mid-40s. But on Saturday, we do see a bit of a spike, the temperature going up to about 51 degrees. Today, we are expecting about a 10% chance of showers. And right now, it's mostly cloudy, 42 degrees downtown. That chance of showers increasing to 20% tomorrow.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
It's 1 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bomas. KSL's top story this hour. 3 people have died in a shooting at a private school in Madison, Wisconsin. One of them is the juvenile that police believe was responsible. Here's ABC's Aaron Katersky.
The chief confirmed police officers who responded to the scene did not fire a shot. So that leads us to believe the shooter took his or her own life. And the chief would not confirm whether it was a male or female juvenile, but that juvenile was able to get a gun inside the building, open fire.
And at least 6 other people were injured. Here in Utah, police responded to a number of serious crashes around northern Utah during the weekend. 3 of them were fatal. Saturday, there were fatal crashes in Eagle Mountain and in Spanish Fork Canyon, and another person was killed in a crash on Highway 91 near Logan. Utah Highway Patrol Corporal Eddie Wright says that crash was caused by bad weather.
Wear your seatbelt always. Slow down and keep a better eye on your tires.
We also saw 3 people taken to the hospital after their car rolled on I-15 near Layton. UHP says they were not wearing seatbelts. Your money at this moment, the Dow Jones average down now 16 points on the day. The NASDAQ, though, is up by 253 right now. And our KSL weather. We've got clouds disappearing, but a little bit of inversion coming back. That's next. KSL News Time 101.
We hope you have the right app on your phone for news. You probably have dozens.
But the KSL News Radio app, well, it makes our live stream super easy.
Plus, our talk shows are right there as podcast for your workday.
That's the app for KSL News Radio.
Welcome to Staples.
Help! My family's in for the holidays and I need gift ideas.
That's why we're here. Staples has amazing deals on everything you need. Photo gifts, laptops, and gaming systems. Even custom holiday cards and shipping solutions to send gifts to the family that can't make it.
Perfect! Have anything for Uncle Frank? I love him, but the guy is never quiet.
Noise-canceling headphones. For you.
You get it.
Unwrap huge holiday savings at Staples. And right now at Staples, save up to $350 on select computers. Ends 12/28, in-store only.
Here's another great reason to use the United States Postal Service this season. Your boxes are wrapped and the gifts are in. Our employees are ready. Let the holiday ride begin. Let's start with the price. It's easy to manage when you ship with the reliable USPS Ground Advantage. In just a few days, it's sure to arrive. We're working nonstop to keep the spirit alive. USPS Ground Advantage, the affordable and reliable shipping solution for the holidays. Visit USPS.com/advantage.
This holiday season, Give the gift of joy with Mrs. Kavanaugh's chocolates. Imagine the delight on your loved ones' faces as they unwrap a box of their handcrafted gourmet chocolates. From creamy caramels to chocolate-covered treats, each piece is made with love and the finest ingredients. Family owned for over 60 years, Mrs. Kavanaugh's offers a tradition of quality and care. Whether it's their famous chocolate-covered nuts or their decadent fudge, Mrs. Kavanaugh's has something to make every holiday moment sweeter. Find the perfect gifts this year for your family, friends, and employees at mrscavanaughs.com or visit their retail store to explore their holiday specials and delicious corporate gifts. Order now and make the season unforgettable with the magic of Mrs. Kavanaugh's chocolates, where every bite is a memory. Share the sweetness.
Tim and Amanda. One of the big differences, I think, between reading a story online and hearing it from us, Tim, is that, you and I are allowed to share a reaction. We need to be able to say, what in the world were they thinking? So that people listening will know. We feel it too. When we read a story that sounds ridiculous, we're right with you. It sounds ridiculous.
Well, we get caught up, I'm sure just like our listeners do sometimes, in death scrolling on social media. And fact-checking it on your own is tough. The great thing about tuning in every morning and starting your morning with us on KSL is you can count on the fact that when that information comes out of the radio in your direction, it comes from reliable sources.
It's already been fact-checked.
Right. And that's not always easy when you're getting it online. Finding who wrote it, when was it written, has it been updated with the current facts of the day that change sometimes minute to minute, not just day to day.
Utah's Morning News between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Sinclair's. Save on every gallon with the DinoPay app. Here's Ricky Meese.
We still have some leftover heavy and slow traffic, both north and southbound I-15 in Davis and Weber counties. It's near the county line. Most of the northbound has cleared out, but southbound, it's still a little slow going from Clearfield towards Layton, especially after Center Street. So just be prepared for that. It does seem to be associated with road work taking place there. Arrive in style in a great fitting suit from Mr. Mac. They ensure a perfect fit, offering fast, free alterations by expert tailors at all 9 Mr. Mac stores. Arrive in style. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Partly cloudy with a chance of showers in northern Utah today, then clearing up later this week with an inversion building back up. It's cloudy right now and 42 degrees. I'm Dan Bomas from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Inside Sources. Inside Sources. A new presidency, new state leaders, and a new legislative session. Utah's top political experts discuss the day's biggest stories. Only on KSL News Radio.
For nearly a month now, folks living in New Jersey and in other areas on the East Coast have been complaining about mysterious drone sightings. Now, federal lawmakers are calling on Congress to do something about it. Welcome to the new Inside Sources here on KSL News Radio. I am Taylor Morgan, partner at Morgan May Public Affairs, alongside Greg Skordas, KSL legal analyst extraordinaire. Greg.
I feel like this is deja vu. I was driving to the studio and I heard you this morning.
Yeah.
Were you here earlier today?
I have been here today. We have had a lot to talk about here on KSL News Radio. Greg, I imagine listeners may have had enough of me, but we'll see.
I didn't.
We'll see if we can, hang on until 3 o'clock. We have a lot to talk about.
For a minute
Greg.
about the water situation in Huntsville, which is still a bit of a problem.
Of course, Greg Skordas lives in Eden, which is right next to Huntsville town up in the beautiful Ogden Valley. Greg has been probably sharing his shower and water and a lot of good neighbors. Great community up there.
It's a good community up there. Yep.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, let's talk about these drones, Greg. The federal government is telling New Jersey residents to not shoot at the drones.
Yeah, it's against the law. I had a drone case. Seriously, true story. A guy shot a drone. out of the air. And his argument was it was trespassing because he thought that the air above your house just continued to the heavens, so that it was on your property. That's not true, by the way.
No,
you
not
don't.
true.
You don't own the air up to the sky.
Right. Well, we're talking about the numerous drone sightings in the New York, New Jersey area. They are sparking all kinds of public concern, now have prompted federal investigations. Officials are emphasizing that most of these sightings are actually probably aircraft, manned aircraft, or other lawful operations. But local authorities and residents, Greg, are skeptical.
So we're talking about something larger than this, the drone that flies around your neighborhood taking pictures for the local realtor or something like that. These are bigger aircraft that are large enough to be manned aircraft, and in fact, some of them actually are, apparently.
Yeah, and also drones operating at night without the transponders or the lighting, right? So that clearly seems to be a little bit mysterious, a little strange there.
And it seems like in this day and time, Taylor, we're thinking about China spying on us with balloons, and with getting into our internet and hacking our things. And so we're thinking, wait a minute, maybe they're part of this drone thing. And so there's probably a little bit more of a heightened sense of, I don't know, paranoia, nervousness, whatever. But sure, it could be disconcerting when you have drones flying over your neighborhood. And I imagine that the legal, lawful aircraft that are flying don't like the competition. They don't like things in their airway. They're not necessarily supposed to be there.
Exactly. In fact, Greg, recently, these mysterious, I assume, private drones have interfered with official aviation and other operations. They have caused the temporary closures of airspace, even at, for example, New York Stewart International Airport, Ohio's Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. So they are causing issues with official activities, official aircraft in the airspace.
I think that our lawmakers, both nationally and locally, need to start doing something about this and cracking down on it, because drones are a great idea. They serve a lot of good. I think commercially they do a lot of good, but you don't know if they're getting in the way of certain things. And I know that you can say, hey, don't fly your drones in this area, but there probably has to be legislation. And I'm talking nationally and locally, because it's easy for the FAA to come in and say, don't fly a drone. But when the rubber hits the road, it's going to be local law enforcement that are saying, hey, wait a minute, what are we going to do about this?
Yeah.
So I would expect that there's going to be, at least in that area, New York, New Jersey area, where some of their legislators are saying, hey, we need to do something about this. But you can bet that there will be some legislation pretty quickly in terms of how we're dealing with drones and what's happening in the neighborhoods.
In fact, just last week, New York Senator Chuck Schumer and Kristen Gillibrand, as well as New Jersey Senators Cory Booker and Andy Kim, wrote to the heads of the FBI, the Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, and the Department of Homeland Security, formally requesting meetings. In their letter, they stated, quote, "We write with urgent concern regarding the unmanned aerial system activity that has affected communities across New York and New Jersey in recent days." They requested a meeting as soon as possible to, quote, understand how your agencies are working with federal and local law enforcement to identify and address the source of these incursions, Greg. So members of Congress representing New York and New Jersey are already taking this very seriously. I think you're exactly right. We will see legislation come at the state level and perhaps federally here. But this is, when I first started tracking this story, Greg, I thought it was a little bit silly, but it is not. This is a big deal.
Yeah, one of the New Jersey area mayors spoke up and said he's been writing to Congress, been writing to the FAA, and saying something needs to be done about this. And what he said was this is, his last name is Morello. There are only two logical conclusions. One, somebody knows something and they're not willing to tell us, suggesting potential national security activities around the airport and President-elect Donald Trump's golf course. He's got a Bedminster golf course nearby. And what he's saying is, look, if we are being surveilled because of the incoming president, there's going to be some time. Let's get this down, but let's at least be honest about it. And he said the even scarier. The second explanation is, we're the greatest nation on earth with the most technologically advanced military on the planet, and we don't know what's going on. That's scarier.
See, that is really, really scary, Greg, especially as you mentioned earlier, following up with this on the Chinese Spygate balloon incident that we experienced last year, these concerns are certainly valid. And some residents in New York and New Jersey have taken to shooting at the drones, which officials are now coming out discouraging shooting at the drones. There's an official statement for this area in New York and New Jersey stated, a drone has a lithium battery. If you shoot at it, assuming you target it correctly and you actually hit the drone is going to fall somewhere. The lithium battery can explode, cause a fire, and do damage to property.
Yeah, and apparently there's even a law in that particular area, and maybe it's an FAA law, but the Department of Homeland Security and the Federal Aviation Administration have both said that it's illegal to shoot down a drone. Anyone who does so could be fined up to $250,000 and sentenced up to 20 years in prison. Now, that seems awfully extreme, but maybe it's at a time, Taylor, when we're talking about this, when enough citizens are upset that law enforcement really needs to do something about it. Charge somebody with a felony like that, send them to jail for 30, 60, 90 days. We're gonna have a cutback on the drones in the New Jersey, New York area.
Now, Greg, to be clear here, disclaimer, I am not encouraging nor do I endorse supporting or endorse shooting at drones, Greg. However, I can't imagine it is easy to actually hit a drone. If you can shoot your rifle or shoot your handgun, shoot a drone and actually take it down, Greg, yes, it's breaking the law. Don't do it. It's not okay, but
apparently you're not a goose hunter.
You know, I might just give you a tip of the hat if you can do it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, difficult thing. Be careful. Don't take matters into your own hands. If you see drones, if it's bothering you in your particular area, just call local law enforcement. Let them take care of it.
Yeah. Coming up next here on KSL Inside Sources, we are going to talk about the latest continuing resolution in Congress to keep the federal government funded. Stay right here.
The KSL News Radio app will update you on breaking stories.
A house explosion this afternoon.
And you'll get exclusive audio streams from local events, breaking news, and sports.
Cougars feel like they can overcome anything.
All of your favorite KSL hosts are there too, so you can listen anytime. Plus traffic and weather. Download it today. The app for KSL News Radio.
Life can feel hard or overwhelming sometimes, but you don't have to face things alone. Getting help for yourself or someone you're worried about starts with a call or text to 988, where you always have someone to talk to, someone to help you, and somewhere safe to go. 988 Utah is here for anyone experiencing mental health challenges or emotional distress. 988 Utah can even help you navigate how to support your struggling loved ones. Whether you're struggling with anxiety, depression, or suicidal thoughts, trained professionals are ready to listen and provide free, confidential support 24/7. Utah, don't hesitate to call or text 988 for you or someone you care about. The caring staff at 988 Utah can connect you to the right resources. Learn more at 988.utah.gov.
At Fisher Investments, we may seem like other money managers, but we're different.
Are you really that different than the rest of us?
We are. As a fiduciary, we always focus on what's best for our clients.
What services do you offer besides investing?
We have a team of specialists in financial planning, estate planning, and more.
Your clients rely on you for all that?
Yes, we ensure clients receive unparalleled service at every step of the relationship.
Okay, but you still sell commission-based products, right?
No, because we believe that's a conflict of interest. We prioritize service over sales goals.
So, then how do your fees work?
We have a simple and transparent fee that's a percentage of our clients' portfolios. So we do better when our clients do better.
Wow, we're more different than I thought.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
If you're trying to decide which gutter protection to put on your home, don't just ask how they'll handle leaves. Ask how they'll handle ice. Tim Jr. here from RGS Exteriors, and that's right, ice. See, plenty of gutter guards are good at keeping out leaves, but most are made with flimsy materials that can bend, buckle, and break under the weight of too much ice. Kind of a big problem in an icy state like Utah, right? At RGS Exteriors, our exclusive gutter protection systems are built Utah tough. They're made with premium strength materials that hold up to 1,200 pounds of ice per square foot. Simply put, they're not going to budge. Our gutter guards are also certified to handle hurricane-level winds and rain. Mother Nature can't damage them. Guaranteed. Utah Tough Products. That's the RGS way. For a free estimate, call 801-280-3110 or visit rgsexteriors.com. That's rgsexteriors.com or 801-280-3110.
Donate your car to Charity Hotline. This is Roger.
Hi, Roger, I'd like to donate my car.
Yeah, good. Leave the keys in it, park it on the street, and we'll send a thug. Tow.
Where's your office?
In New Jersey. Where do you want it to be?
Well, Roger,
Yeah.
I want to make sure my donation helps Utah kidney patients.
It will.
Which ones?
Well, does it matter?
Yes, I want the money to stay in Utah.
Then, boy, have you got the wrong number.
If you want your car donation to help people here in Utah, turn your car into a kidney car for the National Kidney Foundation of Utah and Idaho. Hi, this is Luz Lewis Perez. Kidney Cars is the Beehive State's #1 choice for charity car donation since 1990. When you donate your car to Kidney Cars, funding stays in Utah to help local Utah kidney patients and funds local medical research. Kidney Cars gets donors the highest tax deduction, along with free towing. Visit towcars.org and learn more. That's towcars with a K like kidney. That's TOWKARS.org.
The average text takes your eyes off the road for about 5 seconds. At highway speeds, that's enough time to travel the length of a football field. Stop texts, stopwrecks.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bonas. First, 3 people died in a shooting at a private school in Madison, Wisconsin. One of them was the suspect. Second, 3 people died in highway accidents around Utah last weekend, and several others were injured. Third, ski patrol members at Park City Mountain Resort have authorized a strike, but they haven't yet walked out. 43 degrees, cloudy in Salt Lake City, and back to Inside Sources on KSL News Radio.
Inside Sources on KSL News Radio.
You're back with us on Inside Sources. I'm Greg Skordas alongside Taylor Morgan. And Taylor, I have to ask you, when was the last time you heard this? The federal government is set to run out of money Friday night at midnight. And with no bipartisan deal in place to continue funding the government, things could get a little bleak. Doesn't it seem like we have this conversation?
It's just another Monday, just another weekday, Greg. Congress is constantly passing last-minute emergency legislation to make sure the government is funded. This whole government shutdown nonsense, Greg, it's just a constant theme.
It really is.
Every few months, right?
My wife works for the federal government. So to her, it hits a little close to home.
Yeah.
Okay, we're running out of money Friday night. Do I go to work Monday? So far, she always goes to work Monday.
Yeah.
And they talk about this thing they call the continuing resolution. Does that mean that we're continuing that there is some sort of offer on the table to keep business going until we can sort out the details? Or is there a chance that we're going to shut down the government Friday night at midnight?
Well, Boyd Matheson gave me a lot of confidence, really reassured me when it comes to the government, the continuing resolutions required to prevent the government from shutting down. Boyd assured me that we never have to worry about the federal government actually shutting down again. Of course, it did back in 2013, 2012, 2013, I believe. After that, Congress has always passed a continuing resolution to make sure it doesn't happen again. I think, obviously, they will pass this continuing resolution again. They'll kick the can down the road again a few months at a time, Greg, which is what they do constantly now. It's like 40% of Americans with their credit card bill, right? Just pay what you have to this month, and we'll take care of it at some point down the road, right?
And it seems like with a new administration coming in, we're about a month away, 5 weeks away.
Yeah, January 20th, right?
That we're not going to shut down the government. That the ongoing administration, the ongoing Congress, ongoing Senate is going to say, exactly what you just did. Let's kick the can down the road. Let's let the new people come in and figure out what they're going to do. There are a couple of issues that are sticking points. One is agriculture assistance, a farm bill, what we're going to do about that, whether we should continue that, whether we should increase that, change it in any way, and also some infrastructure funding and international trade agreements, which, again, those are issues that I really think we need to keep things going, let the new administration decide how they want to handle things like that, and change the legislation if we need to, but don't stop government funding in December and risk any sort of shutdown between now and January when Trump takes office.
Yeah, I think initially leaders in Congress, Republican leadership, Senate, Democratic leadership as well, were envisioning a pretty simple trade-off here in order to get the votes to pass the continuing resolution. That trade would have involved diverting funding approved under the Inflation Reduction Act, money meant for National Resource Conservation Service. That would be a trade-off in the budget baseline in exchange for that direct aid to farmers. However, the problem is Speaker Mike Johnson didn't support that trade. There's some politics involved with, of course, the direct support. And now that President-elect Donald Trump is in the picture, his influence over the legislation is complicating things.
Don't you think that in light of what we've seen with these shutdowns and with the Speaker of the House and the turmoil that happens there, that Johnson has, we're talking about House Speaker Mike Johnson, has a real motivation to keep his party happy, but to keep the country going, because he doesn't want to come up for a vote again in January. Maybe he does as Speaker. Maybe that's an automatic. But I think he likes what he's doing. I think he's doing a very good job.
Yeah, he's good at it.
This is something that the far right really has a problem with, and I suppose the far left does as well, which is spending, and what are we going to do about it?
Yeah, the problem is both parties spend,
right,
and every member of Congress wants to bring the spending home to their district, right? We all complain about congressional dysfunction and congressional spending, the deficit, the national debt. We all love to complain about that, Greg. But at the same time, we are all fighting to bring federal dollars home to our own states and districts, right? So it's always a bit of a battle there. So Speaker Mike Johnson, we know, is struggling to get the votes needed to pass the continuing resolution in the House. So House Democrats, Greg, are trying to seize this opportunity to get some of their priorities funded. One of those priorities is asking for the federal government to pay 100% of the cost of rebuilding the Francis Scott Key Bridge in Baltimore. That could cost over $2 billion.
And that's the one with the barge that went sideways and ran out of power and knocked the bridge down. And it's a huge roadway between various areas there in the Baltimore area. I mean, it shut down their market a little bit. That was very difficult. So somebody's got to rebuild that. Yeah, Democrats are saying, what about that? What else have they got that they're holding up?
They are asking for federal funding to build museums on the National Mall that would specifically honor women and American Latinos. Also, the Second Chance Act. This is a federal act and funding that aims to help the reentry of convicted criminals back into communities. So these are Democratic priorities in the U.S. House that have not been funded fully or at all. Democrats are using this continuing resolution to negotiate for some or all of these priorities with Speaker Mike Johnson.
I hadn't heard about some of these. The Second Chance Act, I'm a little bit familiar with that, to help a reentry of convicted criminals back into communities. It would seem that would be that's something that could be almost self-funding at some point. I mean, you've got to get the mechanism into place, but I guess I'm on the soapbox here as a person who help convicted criminals get their records cleaned up and whatnot. But getting reentry and getting them back into the community, getting them back to work seems to be something that's going to pay off in the long run. But you've got to have something in place, education-wise, job-wise, helping them get their feet in the door is a huge thing. But I think that bridge in Baltimore has got to be probably high on the list.
Yeah, I think so. Look, Speaker Mike Johnson is not going to let the government be shut down. It's not going to happen. There will be a deal. The question is, how much will Speaker Mike Johnson have to give away to get the Democratic votes to get that deal done? Of course, President-elect Donald Trump and his team, as we mentioned, set to take office on January 20th, and then Republican leadership, the future Republican leadership in the Senate, current Democratic leadership in the majority right now, they don't want a government shutdown either. So we're going to get a deal, Greg. It's just a matter of what it will look like. What will the details of it be?
What do you suppose the level of involvement in all this is from Trump and the incoming administration and the incoming Congress and the incoming Senate? I mean, I know that they're not in office yet. They haven't been sworn in yet. But the outgoing group has, 5 weeks left. Do you suppose that they're talking to the new people? Do you suppose that Johnson is in touch with Trump saying, how are we going to make this work? And
Absolutely.
Trump's in touch with him saying, I don't want to hit the ground running with a government that's close to a shutdown or not part of a... I mean, he doesn't want to deal with the continuing resolution, at least for his first month or 2 or 3 in office.
Right, yeah. They want this to be done. They don't want to have to deal with this again until at least March, maybe April or May. The Donald Trump team, Donald Trump, his chief of staff, Susie Wiles, their liaisons with Congress, they are heavily and directly involved with this process right now. We are seeing this new Donald Trump administration, Greg, really lead out with these things congressionally. They've been very involved, of course, recently with all of his nominees, all those picks. Behind the scenes, though, this Donald Trump team is serious about policy making, and they are serious about getting things done in Congress. Donald Trump, he and his team know that he has a very short window, and American voters have high expectations.
You also have to think that given the lame duck nature of the current Congress, that maybe they're more likely to pass a bill and maybe more likely to do some things, maybe more likely to spend some money now than they would be if there's an election coming up in a couple weeks. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you never know. Definitely something we will keep our eyes on. Continuing resolution, again, must be passed by this Friday to keep the government funded. When Inside Sources returns here on KSL News Radio, let's dig into a looming fight between President-elect Donald Trump, Democrats, and the Supreme Court. The battle over birthright citizenship coming up next.
It's 1:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bomas. KSL's top story. The FBI has now joined the investigation of a school shooting in Madison, Wisconsin. Chief Sean Barnes says there's still much to do at that scene.
We're still going through, collecting evidence, collecting information, making sure that our community is safe from what is a sad day for our community and for our country.
3 people were killed, including the juvenile suspect, at least 6 taken to hospitals, with injuries ranging from serious to minor. 'Tis the season of giving. You might be interested in sending money to a stranger based on a sad post in social media, but the police chief in South Salt Lake, Danielle Croyle, says it's better to direct that person to a charity than to donate to that charity specifically for that person.
You protect yourself and ensure your generosity truly benefits those in need.
You might also see Secret Santa posts telling people to post their Cash App tag so people can give them money, but ReasonLabs.com says this could put you at risk of scams or fraud. Your money at this moment, the Dow Jones average down 16 points on the day right now, while the NASDAQ has been up all day right now, 264 points. And our KSL weather, we've got clouds today. Things should clear up later in the week. That's next. KSL News Time, 1:31.
It's a priority for us at this station to bring you all sides of a story and to talk about the news fairly, completely.
Get all the facts and be really aware. Utah's Morning News with us, Tim and Amanda.
Weekday mornings 5 to 9 on KSL News Radio.
This Friday, join KSL News Radio and NPS from 10 to 1 as the movie show stops by. Then, browse and uncover what makes NPS so great. With 4 locations, NPS takes a new inventory every day. Then, they check all competitors' retail pricing before marking items down 20 to 70% off. You're invited to visit the movie show this Friday from 10 to 1. And that's the first step to discovering NPS. Visit npsstore.com to begin your own NPS adventure. npsstore.com.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With Venture X, earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy and turn everyday purchases into extraordinary trips. Plus, receive premium travel benefits like access to over 1,300 airport lounges where you just check in and chill out. Open up a world of possibilities with Capital One. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. which is why when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million-plus products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
In 2024, dating is a disaster. We've been ghosted, breadcrumbed, stuck in situationships. Hi, I'm Debbie. I'm Caitlin. Welcome to our new podcast, Dating at Her Age. Dating has been so dicey for us, we asked KSL, can we launch an all-new podcast about it?
People use these dating apps. You're not really dating when you're on the dating app.
Dating at Her Age, brought to you by Mountain Home Services. A new episode drops every Thursday on KSLNewsRadio.com.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Sinclair. Save on every gallon with the DinoPay app. Here's Ricky Meese.
Earlier slowdowns have cleared out on both north and southbound I-15 traveling between Weber and Davis County, between Clearfield and the Roy area, so you're good to go. And we're still enjoying a crash-free commute on the Valley freeways. Advanced Window Products offers Graber window coverings, high-end quality with the best warranty. Save 30% off when you mention KSL. AdvancedWindows.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Partly cloudy with a chance of showers in northern Utah, then clearing later in the week with an inversion building back up. And right now, 44 degrees and cloudy. I'm Dan Bomas from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at KSLNewsRadio.com for Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Inside Sources. Inside Sources on KSL News Radio.
Welcome back to KSL Inside Sources. This is Taylor Morgan here with Greg Skordas. Greg, there is a battle looming over the fight to change birthright citizenship in the United States. As Donald Trump is preparing to take office again, he is speaking openly about his desire to reinterpret the 14th Amendment and birthright citizenship through executive action. This is setting up what could be a big and controversial political battle between Republicans, of course, the White House, Congress, Democrats, and the U.S. Supreme Court. Greg, fortunately, you are KSL's legal analyst. What do you think about this? What could Donald Trump actually do when it comes to birthright citizenship?
So what we're talking about, Taylor, and that's a good question, is the 14th Amendment of the United States Constitution. It was adopted in 1868 after the Civil War, and what it says is this: all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. So we have always called that the birthright citizenship plan, which is if you're born here, you're a citizen here. And what has happened, of course, now when it was enacted, Taylor, it was to prevent southern states right after the Civil War from preventing newly freed slaves from citizenship. So it basically said, look, if you were brought here for whatever reason, it was to help the slaves who were born in the United States automatically become citizens. It was part of the 14th, 15th, and 16th Amendments, which were enacted in connection with the end of slavery to prevent problems from occurring. So fast forward 156 years to 2024, and we're looking at what does it mean now? And it's been something that's been a burr in the saddle of Trump for years, that where he's alleged, look, why is just being born here enough to make you a citizen, especially if your parents are not here legally, or you were here for some other purpose, or you just happen to be born here and boom, you're a citizen.
Yeah.
And that's been his problem. Now, to answer your question, what can be done about it? We're talking about changing the Constitution. It's
reinterpreting,
or perhaps that's an even better answer.
Yeah.
We're getting some updated news on the school shooting.
Yeah,
right
we have some breaking news. We're getting a live update from police in Madison, Wisconsin, following a deadly school shooting this morning. Let's listen in.
Sean Barnes, Shonbarnes. I'm currently the chief of police for the Madison Police Department. I'll be providing a brief update of the school shooting that we had today in Madison. There is some information that we're not going to release because it's still an ever-evolving situation. You'll hear from some of our representatives from our city and from our county. And behind me are a lot of people who came together today to make sure that the day ended well and that everyone else was safe. So with that being said, I'll go ahead and start my remarks. Today truly is a sad day for Madison and for our country. It is a day that I believe will live in our collective minds for a very, very long time. Here are the details. Today at 10:57 a.m., our team was called to the Abundant Life Christian School in reference to an active shooter. We know that 3 people are dead, including the suspect shooter. We know that the suspect shooter was a teenage student who attended the school. At this time, we're not releasing the age or gender of the student or any other identifying remarks about the student. 2 other people have died. That died were a teacher and a teenage student. 6 other people were injured. 2 students are now in critical condition in the hospital, and these injuries are considered life-threatening injuries. 4 students are also at other area hospitals with non-life-threatening injuries. But these are just the physical injuries that we know about. We know that this was the middle of the day of a school day, and so there will be other injuries that we'll have to face for a very, very long time. And we're going to do everything we can as a community to heal those injuries as well. Many of you have asked me about the why of this. Why did this happen? What do we know? What was the motivation? I do not know. But I will tell you this, our detectives are working hard in the investigative process to find out as many answers as we can so that we can further prevent these things from happening, not only in this community, but in other communities around our country. I think we can all agree that enough is enough, and we have to come together to do everything we can to support our students, to prevent press conferences like these from happening again and again and again. The school building itself is clear. We have cleared the school. There's no other threats or danger to the community. We're in the process now of what we call reunification. And what that simply means is making sure that every student that was in the school is present and accounted for and returned to their loved ones. This usually takes a while, but we have practiced, unfortunately, and practice, and that's why we're able to reunify students with their parents within hours of a school shooting. The reunification is taking place at the Dean Clinic on Stoughton Road, and I certainly thank them for their help. Again, we need our public to find an alternate route. If that is your normal way home as we get closer to the end of the day, please be patient or find another route home. We're currently processing the scene. We're interviewing those who may have been witnesses, and we're obtaining search warrants to get additional information. And lastly, I want to just say thank you to everyone who's standing behind me, the organizations and agencies that they represent, the men and women of the Madison Police Department and Dane County Sheriff's Office who selflessly ran into a building not knowing what they were going to encounter. Many of you know this about me, but I started my professional career, if you will, as a public school teacher back in 1997. And I taught public school for 4 years. It was one of the greatest joys of my life before becoming a police officer. And I can tell you what a special place our schools are. With that being said, we owe it to our community to do everything possible to ensure that it's not only a special place, but a safe place as well. And we're going to continue to do that. So we ask for your patience as information is coming in. We will do the best that we can to bring you accurate and timely information, but we want to make sure that our public knows that we're working extremely hard on this particular incident. There are a lot of people involved, and certainly we're going to come together as a community. I'd like to bring up at this time Police Fire Chief Chris Carver.
Thank you, Chief Barnes. Before I start, the only thing I can say is this is not a place that any fire chief or any one of us would ever want to be. And I can't believe I'm standing here today talking about this incident. The fire department is a part of this community, much like all of the folks standing up here with me today. Our hearts are with and our arms are around everybody impacted today and everybody within our community. With that, I won't repeat the details shared by Chief Barnes, but I will share with you the fire department activity for today. Much like Chief Barnes mentioned, at 10:57, we were also dispatched with Engine 5 and Medic 5 to the same location. Throughout the course of the incident, we responded with 5 engine companies, 4 ladder companies, 15 ambulances. I would like to take a moment and share our gratitude for our county partners throughout a multitude of EMS and fire agencies that joined us in the response today. We also had 11 off-duty chief officers that came in on this response. So it was a tremendous response from the fire department. We transported 4 patients to St. Mary's. We transported 3 patients to the University of Wisconsin hospitals. On the arrival of our crews, I can say my gratitude to our membership for what they did and their selfless actions today. It's hard for me to place into words what they ran into as well. They did that immediately, they did that selflessly, and within a course of 15 minutes from the first transport to the last transport, all the patients were on their way to the hospital. So to our membership within the Madison Fire Department and within all the emergency services, my gratitude, my recognition of the work that goes into this, the training that went into this, that again, we had hoped we would never have to put into practice. One more time on behalf of the Madison Fire Department, our hearts are with you, our arms are around you, and we will be with you throughout the duration of this. So at this point, I'll step aside, turn it over to the mayor.
Thank you, Chiefs, both of you. This is an incredibly sad day for our community. As you've heard, there is no danger to the community at this time, but our entire community has been impacted by this tragic incident. On behalf of the Common Council and the City of Madison staff, I want to offer our heartfelt condolences to the victims and families and to the whole Abundant Life community. Our focus now is on supporting them and supporting the victims and their families. And we will continue to do that through the coming days and weeks. I also want to thank our first responders, the police, fire, the medical staff, for their quick action and their life-saving efforts. As you've heard already, this is a whole-of-government response. It is not just police and fire. It is not just City of Madison. We have folks from all around the county. We have folks from multiple agencies engaged in both the initial immediate response and the ongoing support, and will be engaged for days and weeks to come. I also want to thank the White House and the governor and others in the federal government and state government for reaching out to offer their support and help. We will be drawing on resources as needed going forward. But the most important thing right now is to make sure that we are centering the victims and their families, and that we are doing whatever we can to support them and to help them heal, and to lift our entire community up through this difficult incident. I am on record that I think we need to do better in our country and our community to prevent gun violence. And I hoped that this day would never come in Madison. It is not something that any mayor, any fire chief, any police chief, any person in public office ever wants to have to deal with. And so I will ask our entire community and our entire country to do whatever we can to make sure that no public official ever has to stand in this position again. And now I'll invite the county executive to the podium.
We've just heard from police, fire, and the mayor of Madison, Wisconsin, following a deadly shooting at a school earlier this morning. A teacher has been killed, as has a student. The shooting suspect, who police say is a minor, is also dead. We'll keep you posted on any updates here on air and online at kslnewsradio.com. More inside sources coming up after the break.
Are you suffering from constant fatigue, joint pain, or digestive issues? Do you have brain fog, anxiety, or depression? Have you seen multiple doctors and still don't have any answers? Have you been told over and over that your blood tests are normal, but you're just not feeling well? At Transformative Medicine, they use specialized testing to find the root cause of the problem and then use cutting-edge therapies to treat it. Call Transformative Medicine today at 844-TALK-2-DOC and receive a free consultation. Finally, get to the root of the problem and have the answers you've been waiting for. Don't wait to get your life back. The first 25 people to call Transformative Medicine at 844-TALK-2-DOC will receive a consultation absolutely free. That's 844-TALK-2-DOC. 844-TALK-2-DOC.
The impact of a meal goes well beyond feeding our bodies, because when people don't have to worry about where their next meal is coming from, they can truly thrive, like Marta.
And now we'll hear from our class valedictorian, who with our hard work never ceases to amaze us. Please welcome Marta Moreno.
And Alex.
Hey, Alex, how did the interview go?
I did it! I got the job! I can't believe it!
I knew it. Let's meet up later to celebrate.
And Diego.
Mom! I got first place at the science fair with my volcano project.
That's amazing, sweetie. Congratulations.
Because when people are fed, futures are nourished, and everyone deserves to live a full life. Join the movement to end hunger at feedingamerica.org/actnow. feedingamerica.org/actnow. A public service announcement brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Getting help with electrical repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
With the three things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bomas. First, the FBI has joined the investigation of a school shooting in Wisconsin. 3 people died, at least 6 were injured. Second, 'tis the season for sob stories on social media. Police say you're better off donating to a well-known charity if you want to help. And third, breathing Utah's polluted air could raise your risk of dangerous blood clots. 44 degrees and cloudy in Salt Lake City. Back to Inside Sources on KSL News Radio.
Inside Sources on KSL News Radio.
And welcome back to Inside Sources. I'm Greg Skordas alongside Taylor Morgan. And Taylor, this is a bad day with the school shooting, but there's some bright news to the holiday season, and we are happy to have with us this afternoon Keegan Matele, founding president and chairman of the Kaloa Foundation, to talk to us about what his foundation is doing and what you're up to. Thank you for joining us this afternoon.
Yeah. Oh, no, thanks so much for having me. I appreciate being here.
Well, Taylor sort of sings your praises walking in here, so you must have something going with him. And if Taylor likes you, I like you.
Oh, that's nice, Greg. This foundation is so cool, Greg. This is something that I learned about fairly recently. Keegan's work is just incredible with this nonprofit. Your nonprofit, Keegan, as I understand it, is focused on really helping low-income, at-risk kids here in Salt Lake County and in Utah County, kids that may be experiencing homelessness or not have the basic essentials for like hygiene or just day-to-day living, things like that. I know that might be a little more practical, literal work you do, but before you get into that, maybe give us a sense of what this foundation is. What does Kaloa mean? What are you trying to accomplish with this nonprofit?
Yeah, so I mean, first thing I do want to say is I can't say it's my foundation. There's a lot of people who help out with it. I have my board members. My wife especially has been massive in helping out with that, family, friends, all of that, right? And so I do just want to make sure I give the full credit where credit's due. It really is a community effort. How it all started is I won't go into too many details, but just my background came from a little bit of a rougher background, and for whatever reason, I was lucky enough to quote unquote make it out. And I feel very lucky and fortunate and blessed. And so I wanted to be able to return that favor back into the world. And so, I mean, you hit it pretty much spot on the head. We do focus on helping educate lower income communities on, business, financial, entrepreneurial, real estate investing principles. And the idea is that we can kind of grow a community from within of making change, because I have noticed there's a lot of different things that will pour into a community, which is awesome and it helps. But I really wanted to focus on, for lack of a better term, identifying talent from within and then just helping those people grow from within their own communities. And then in turn, they can help grow those people around them. To go into your question about koloa, like what that means. So I'm Tongan at the base, and that's a Tongan word, which it roughly translates into like gold or treasure or wealth. And in the Polynesian community and in the culture, you will give a koloa, and it's like when you go to a wedding or to like a funeral or some type of event, what you're giving is a koloa. And so it's kind of this idea of giving back or gifting to something bigger than yourself, if that makes sense.
So it's more than just material possessions or money. It's more about that reinvestment in the community.
Correct. Yeah. And so like back on the islands, it wasn't just money that people would give at weddings. It could be clothing. It could be like the different mats that they give out. It could be service. It's just whatever you're able to give, you give back. So
Keegan, talk to us about how fundraising has gone so far. How are you reaching out to the community and to raise money for this project?
So up to this point...
That's always the hard part. That's always the hard part.
It's very true. Fortunately, I've got some great people around that, like I said, are really helping push that bar forward. So far, it's mainly just been social media or the network I have, or within my network, those people have. And we did a gala it was just a couple weeks ago. And our first one we did was 2 years ago. That's been the main way we've been raising funds. We've had people just kind of randomly donate. A lot of the focus on the Koloa Foundation has tended to be around Christmas time, because I mean that for me, there's a lot of kids and families who aren't even going to have Christmas this year. And I think that's where, if I'm just being honest, I get busy during the year and I kind of forget about this stuff. But Christmas time, it makes it a lot easier to focus on that. And I mean, I've noticed people tend to be a little bit more generous on Christmas. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Now, the nonprofit is a tax exempt charity, or donations tax deductible?
Yes, 100% tax deductible. We're an official 501, I think it's C3.
C3?
Yeah, thank you. I always forget which way it goes.
For those who might be interested in donating, where and how can they do that?
Yeah, so we have a website that's been put up. Very big thanks to Taylor on that, but koloafoundation.org. You can go in there and there's a donation tab, and you can go ahead and click on that, and it's really easy, straightforward to do so. And then 100% of the proceeds do go towards families here in the Salt Lake and Utah.
That's what I wanted to ask you, because a lot of people, when they donate, they want to know where's the money going and how is it? Is this you're comfortable that the money here is, and you can tell our listeners, the money here is staying in Utah and it's helping Utah people?
100%. One of the big reasons I wanted to start this foundation is I learned more about some nonprofits and where the money goes.
Yeah.
When I was vetting out my board, I just told every single one of them, you will never make a penny off this. This is going right back into the community. And as long as you're okay with that, we're good to go.
Tell us a little bit about the Tongan community here in Utah, and what are the issues there? What are the needs, and maybe a little more detail there.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the number one thing is a lack of education. So whether that be like in the terms of like how do I explain this? Like smarts, like getting degrees or actually furthering your education, or education around kind of some of just like your basic needs. So for example, the whole principle of like trading time for money, or trading time for time, money for money, things like that. I think when it comes to the community, a lot of this is like my family, especially they will go work their job, and it's very much day to day. The island culture is very present living, which I'm very envious of, and I would like to get there.
Paycheck to paycheck.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
And it's just, hey, we'll figure it out as it comes. And so, I do think there's some benefit to that, but at the same time, if we can add in some more planning and some more structure into, okay, how can this affect my future? What am I doing now to set up my kids, rather than just it'll happen the way it happens.
Yeah.
So where I know you've answered this before, but if a dollar comes in, where's that dollar? I know there are a lot of answers to this. Typically going to be spent.
Good question. So for now, because we're in the Christmas season, every single dollar will go towards how Taylor mentioned earlier. We have these little kits for like the homeless shelter here in Salt Lake for teenagers. It'll have like the duffel bag, toothpaste, body wash, body spray, towels, just kind of like the basic kind of needs there.
The things that we all take for granted.
100%.
Yeah.
Yep. And then on top of that, Christmas gifts, buying toys for kids, anything around Christmas time. It's really just the necessities, and then for any extra, it goes into gifts. And so we do take nominations for families as well. So if there's anybody out there who knows of a family that is in need or can't afford Christmas, please reach out, because if we can help out and we can provide at least something, we're more than happy to do it.
And how should folks contact you if they do want to nominate a family or have questions about your work?
The best way would just be through the website or email. So again, the website is kaloafoundation.org, and info@kaloafoundation.org. You can just email that, and or even Keegan at Kaloa Foundation. That's KEAGAN.org. Yeah, reach out to me, and we'll figure it out. We'll make it happen.
Yeah, thank you very much. Great nonprofit, Greg. I'm always excited when I learn about organizations like this that are really on the ground doing this kind of impactful, practical work to provide, immediate needs, Greg, but also kind of giving people the tools to improve their own lives, improve their own communities. I love this motto on the website, kaloafoundation.org. The motto is, "It takes a village to raise a child, but one child can change a village." I think that's exactly what Keegan was.
I'd like to have Keegan back someday. I'd love to learn your story.
Yes.
I'd love to learn your story. You have so much energy. I'd just love to hear where you've come from.
Keegan Mataele, did I get it?
Nailed it. Perfect.
Excellent. KaloaFoundation.org. Thanks so much for joining us here on Inside Sources. Coming up after the break, Greg, we are going to get into legislation regarding education here in Utah, coming up after these messages.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
It's 2 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bonas. KSL's top story this hour: breathing in high levels of polluted air over time can increase your risk of developing blood clots. That's the result of a new study from the University of Minnesota. The assistant professor of hematology at the University of Utah, Yazan Abu Ismail, says PM 2.5 particulates are a factor in that.
They also looked at particulate matter, and the risk was also increased, but only by about 47% or so.
The study finds chronic exposure to high levels of aerated nitrogen oxide and nitrogen dioxide more dangerous, increasing blood clot risk twofold and threefold. Only ozone exposure showed no increased risk of blood clots. Our top national story this hour from ABC News: another school shooting this morning, this time at the Abundant Life Christian School in Madison, Wisconsin. We have more from ABC's Aaron Katursky.
They put area schools on lockdown out of an abundance of caution. Right now, the police believe there is nothing else to worry about except getting all these terrified kids back with their parents.
Madison police say 3 are dead, including the shooter, believed to have been a student there. 6 others are injured. Your money at this moment: the Dow Jones average is down on the day now 110 points, while the NASDAQ has been up all day, right now up 247. And our KSL weather: we've got an inversion coming back in now later in the week. We'll have more on that just ahead. KSL News Time, 2:01.
Here's a way to get breaking news updates anywhere you go.
At the store or in a work meeting, you can get breaking news on your phone.
You can quickly read it, swipe, or click for more. It's super discreet, super fast.
That's the app for KSL News Radio.
Hey, can you blow up some balloons for Jack's party?
I can't. I'm so congested.
You need Sinex Saline from Vicks.
Sinex Saline nasal spray?
Yeah, just Sinex. Breathe.
Sinex Saline instantly clears everyday congestion associated with colds and year-round allergies with a gentle, ultra-fine mist that's no mess and easy to control.
Daddy, we need more balloons.
On it.
Enjoy life's important moments without congestion. Try Sinex Saline from Vicks. Just Sinex. Breathe. Use as directed.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues? Who are you? Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
This holiday season, give the gift of joy with Mrs. Kavanaugh's chocolates. Imagine the delight on your loved ones' faces as they unwrap a box of their handcrafted gourmet chocolates. From creamy caramels to chocolate-covered treats, each piece is made with love and the finest ingredients. Family-owned for over 60 years, Mrs. Kavanaugh's offers a tradition of quality and care. Whether it's their famous chocolate-covered nuts or their decadent fudge, Mrs. Kavanaugh's has something to make every holiday moment sweeter. Find the perfect gifts this year for your family, friends, and employees at mrscavanaughs.com or visit their retail store to explore their holiday specials and delicious corporate gifts. Order now and make the season unforgettable with the magic of Mrs. Kavanaugh's chocolates, where every bite is a memory. Share the sweetness.
Sometimes when our furnace stops working, it's something simple we can fix ourselves, if we only knew how. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and the next time your furnace stops working, before you call a company out to fix it, try this first. Go shut the furnace down and make sure your air filter is clean. Go around the house and make sure the vents are open and there's nothing blocking the return airs. If it's been a while since you've changed the batteries in your thermostat, go ahead and do that too. Then go turn the furnace back on, and if it stays on, you're probably good. If it stops working again, you're probably going to want a technician to check it out. If you don't know one, Any Hour Services has a special offer for any homeowners listening. One of our HVAC technicians will diagnose and troubleshoot your furnace for only $29. Then they'll explain what they found and present you with repair options. And don't worry, our technicians service all brands. Call Any Hour Services and let them know you heard about this $29 troubleshooting special on the radio. 801-443-7400. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Sinclair. Save on every gallon with the Dino Pay app. And here's Ricky Meese.
For those traveling the Salt Lake County freeways, we have no accidents. We have had a little bit of slowing transitioning on the ramp from eastbound I-80 to go southbound on I-215's westbound. Looks like that has cleared. And I-15 in good shape both directions between Willard Bay and Utah Lake. Arrive in style in a great fitting suit from Mr. Mac. They ensure a perfect fit. Offering fast, free alterations by expert tailors at all 9 Mr. Mac stores. Arrive in style. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Partly cloudy skies with a chance of showers in northern Utah, then clearing later this week with an inversion building back up. Right now, 45 degrees and cloudy. I'm Dan Bomas from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Inside Sources. Inside Sources. A new presidency, new state leaders, and a new legislative session. Utah's top political experts discuss the day's biggest stories. Only on KSL News Radio.
Welcome to the second hour of Inside Sources on KSL News Radio. I am Taylor Morgan, partner at Morgan May Public Affairs, with Greg Skordas, KSL legal analyst. Greg, in just over a month, 45 days, the Utah State Legislature will come together for the 2025 general legislative session. The House and Senate will discuss and debate hundreds and hundreds of bills, Greg. Many of them will pass, many will not, but all of them could impact our daily lives.
You know, we haven't been talking about that, Taylor, because we're all talking so much about the new incoming administration. We're talking about what's going to happen in Washington, what's going to happen nationally in January. But in February, or at least the end of January, the Utah legislature is going to be meeting. We're going to be starting that up again. And there's a lot going on there. There's a lot of important bills going on at the House. And, you know, to their credit, we have a part-time legislature. But they're working all year toward getting bills prepared
Year
so that
round.
when they hit the ground, they hit the ground running.
Yeah, the legislative session may not start for 45 days, but the process behind developing the legislation, considering it by interim committees, that has been done throughout the summer and the fall. And a lot of it is coming into focus now. We are fortunate to be joined now on KSL Inside Sources by State Senator Lincoln Fillmore. Senator, welcome to the show. Can you give us just a broad overview of your expectations when it comes to the upcoming session? What do you think will be the top issues that you and your colleagues try to tackle?
Well, Greg and Taylor, thanks for having me on. I appreciate the kind introduction. It's a pleasure to be with you to talk about this. I was thinking we're about 35 days or so from the start of the legislative session.
Oh, thank you. Correct me, 35 days.
Yeah, which means that we're only 80 days from the end of the legislative session. Already
but who's counting, Senator, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Anyway, it's good to be with you guys. I think we're likely to see several big issues that will boil up to the top. And, you guys were talking about the national political issues. We've had a fairly contentious election just behind us a little over a month now. I think we're going to see a lot of education reform or election reform proposals that will come up. And I think that will be a big part of the session and will probably generate some headlines. But another big issue that probably won't generate as many headlines, it won't be quite so clickbaity as education or as election reform might be, and that is energy. Energy is we're at a critical point in Utah's energy production. We now do not produce enough energy for that Utahns consume, and we have to import energy where we've been an energy exporter for most of the state's existence, and that's a real concern. There's going to be a lot of effort to in the state legislature and in working with our federal partners to boost energy production in Utah so that we can once again be an energy exporter and make sure that we've got the energy in state to support the growth in our businesses and our population that drive our economy.
Yeah. Senator, I want to ask you quickly about what might be more of a technical bill, but certainly seems like an important bill. I'm talking about your bill, Senate Bill 13, Property Tax Reimbursement Amendments. I want to ask you about this because it had a unanimous vote of recommendation by the Revenue and Taxation Interim Committee. Can you tell us about that bill really quickly first?
Sure. Yeah, I appreciate you asking about it because it's a great example of most of the things that go on at the legislature. So this will be a bill. I imagine it will pass without much controversy. And, every year you guys will run stories on your show, and there'll be stories in the media in other places about how many bills we pass, and there'll be close to 500 bills or something that pass, again, this legislative session. But most of those are really small issues designed to address something very specific. And this is a good example of those. So personal property tax is property tax that business owners pay on the equipment that they have in their business. But there's a big exemption, which is inventory that you're holding to sell, right? So if you are Best Buy, for example, you don't pay property tax on the computers that sit on your shelves that customers are going to come in and buy. But for companies who rent equipment instead of sell equipment, they actually do pay property tax on those things that they buy. So this is just designed to address an inequity in our tax code between businesses that rent equipment versus businesses that sell equipment, and to try to make those a little bit more equal so that we're not disadvantaging one over the other.
Senator Fillmore, we're also told that you're involved in some legislation involving education and class sizes. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, this was another committee bill that came through the Education Interim Committee. For many years, the state has funded a program called class size reduction. And we put about close to $300 million in that every year to try to make sure that class sizes in kindergarten through second grade especially, but going all the way up to eighth grade, that we've got, more teachers, and we're concentrating resources on those primary grades. But it really should have been called the Class Size Maintenance Act instead of Class Size Reduction, because haven't been putting more money into that. That's just continuing that $300 million a year. And now that the population of kids coming into school is a smaller group than those leaving public schools, right? This is the way that the demographics are working and the way that birth rates have been trending. We wanted to be able to concentrate that money more on the younger grades. So we're just going to make some changes to that program so that it's concentrated in the elementary school years with primary focus on grades K through 3, providing a little bit more flexibility for schools and how they spend that money in those primary grades. Because we know that if you can leave third grade reading, you are very likely to graduate high school. And if you don't, your chances of having trouble and eventually dropping out of school go up exponentially. We want to make sure that we're concentrating and hitting that target in the early years of a child's education.
We're speaking with State Senator Lincoln Fillmore, who represents District 17 in the Utah State Senate. Senator, can you give us a sense of what the state budget could look like? We've heard reports that revenues could be down. Of course, you and your colleagues will get some more concrete numbers going into the session as you go through the process of pinning down and finalizing an actual budget. What are your expectations around the budget, and how will that impact education, higher education? What do you see happening?
So we're going to still see some additional revenue. You know, Utah's economy is good. Our population is growing. State revenue is growing, not at the pace that it maybe was 5 years ago, and certainly not at the pace that it was 3 years ago when the federal government was just trying to pump out money to anyone and anything, right? When we were generating billion-dollar surpluses because of federal stimulus. You know, we're not in those days. This is what you might call just kind of a return to normal budget. So, you know, our economy is growing. We're likely to see the state budget grow by a reasonable amount that's probably going to be consistent with population growth and some level of inflation. You know, it's nice that inflation has come down. You know, I think there's hope with a new Republican administration that inflation will fall even further, which would be great news. But you'll see increases in education funding, increases in higher education funding. You'll see a continued investment in roads and infrastructure and schools that form the basis of a strong economy. And then you're going to see some money set aside to try to reduce taxes. Again, we want to protect taxpayers and make sure that what we're doing is going to be best for the economy, but ultimately best for the citizens of Utah, who we want to be able to keep more of the money that they are earning. Right? We recognize, as a Republican majority in Utah's legislature, that the money that our citizens earn belongs to them, and that we want to take as little of that as possible in order to fund government.
State Senator Lincoln Fillmore, thanks for joining KSL Inside Sources. We will look forward to having you back very soon, and especially during the session. Thanks for your time.
Guys.
Coming up on Inside Sources, we're going to chat with another state legislator about possible changes to juror eligibility in Utah. We'll be right back.
The KSL News Radio app will update you on breaking stories.
A house explosion this afternoon.
And you'll get exclusive audio streams from local events, breaking news, and sports.
Cougars feel like they can overcome anything.
All of your favorite KSL hosts are there too, so you can listen anytime. Plus traffic and weather. Download it today. The app for KSL News Radio.
It's a holiday gift from Advanced Window Products. $3,000 off when you buy 10 windows or more, plus a free high-performance window upgrade. If your windows are letting the cold air seep in, get upgraded double-pane windows and custom insulated frames. Your heating bill will plunge, and you're saving a ton because Advanced Window Products builds the windows right here in Utah. They're the factory. Their employees do the install. They guarantee their work for life. There's no middleman, so you can save 30, even 40% on new windows. Advanced Window Products will create custom windows, any style, any color. They can even put a doggy door in your sliding glass. But you have to call now. You don't have to pay till later. Advanced Window Products offers 0% financing, and right now, $3,000 off for the holidays and a free high-performance window upgrade. Call now, 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100, or go to advancedwindows.com.
First time skiing?
That's right.
Okay, when I nudge you down the mountain, just go for it. Shift your weight to turn.
It's hard to do something if you don't know what you're doing.
How do I stop?
Point the tips of your skis together so it looks like a slice of pizza.
A Learn and Earn account from Cyprus Credit Union gives teens the resources to practice money management and develop the confidence they'll need when it's time to step out on their own. See how your teen can earn up to $200 with a Learn and Earn account at cypruscu.com. Federally insured by NCUA.
Pizza!
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With Venture X, earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy and turn everyday purchases into extraordinary trips. Plus, receive premium travel benefits like access to over 1,300 airport lounges where you just check in and chill out. Open up a world of possibilities with Capital One. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
This is a story of the one. As a maintenance specialist for university housing, he knows college students can major in wear and tear. Plus, housing so many students doesn't leave a lot of room to house all the supplies he needs. That's where Grainger comes in. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast, dependable delivery, Grainger carries the quality products he needs so he doesn't have to. From a new door hinge to a whole new faucet. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Are you suffering from constant fatigue, joint pain, or digestive issues? Do you have brain fog, anxiety, or depression? Have you seen multiple doctors and still don't have any answers? Have you been told over and over that your blood tests are normal, but you're just not feeling well? At Transformative Medicine, they use specialized testing to find the root cause of the problem and then use cutting-edge therapies to treat it. Call Transformative Medicine today at 844-TALK-2-DOC and receive a free consultation. Finally, get to the root of the problem and have the answers you've been waiting for. Don't wait to get your life back. The first 25 people to call Transformative Medicine at 844-TALK-2-DOC will receive a consultation absolutely free. That's 844-TALK-2-DOC. 844-TALK-2-DOC.
Common Spirit Health. Hospitals, clinics, and caregivers all connected to advance healthcare in Colorado, Kansas, and Utah. Healthcare with human kindness is here. Hello, human kindness.
With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bomas. First, a new study shows breathing polluted air can raise your risk of dangerous blood clots. Second, children from a private school in Wisconsin being reunited with their parents now after a shooting there that killed 3 people and wounded 6 others. And third, the city of Huntsville has managed to get water back into homes after an underground leak cut them off. Still not safe to drink, though. 45 degrees and cloudy in Salt Lake City. And back to Inside Sources on KSL News Radio.
Inside Sources. Inside Sources on KSL News Radio.
Welcome back to Inside Sources. I'm your host this afternoon, Greg Skordas, alongside Taylor Morgan. And Taylor, as you probably know, because of my involvement in the criminal justice system, I'm always interested in ways to help those who have served their time get back reinstated in the community. I work with the Drug Court Foundation. I work with the sort of helping people clear up their records. And one of the things that you tell people, that I tell people when they're about to plead guilty to a crime, or a judge will even tell them, do you understand that if you plead guilty to the felony, you will be restricted in the ability to possess a firearm. You will have some restrictions into your ability to vote. And one of the first questions we ask jurors when I have a jury trial is, have any of you been convicted of a felony? If you have, you have to leave.
Okay.
Well, that
currently, right now in Utah,
right,
you cannot serve on a jury if you've been convicted of a felony.
Convicted of a felony. Well, that might be about to change. And so we're lucky to have with us Representative Melissa Ballard from the Utah House of Representatives to talk to us about an amendment for jury qualification or jury eligibility for people convicted of a crime. Tell us about that.
Thank you
First of all,
having me.
thank you for being here.
Yeah, you're welcome. It's nice to be able to talk about this really important topic. That actually, this legislation came from the courts wanting to be able to provide more opportunity for our citizens who are contributing to our community to be part of jury duty. Right now, if you have been convicted of a felon, after 10 years of your conviction, you can run for office. People can vote for you. You can run for any office you want, but you can't be a juror. So this legislation initially was to be on that footing, that if it's been 10 years since your conviction, you could serve on a jury. In committee, we made a change to it, and it's now 10 years from the time that you have completed your sentence. There's also other things. You can't still be on parole. You can't be currently registered on the sex offender list.
Right.
But it used to be that if you had a misdemeanor from speeding, that was also an issue. So we have made this so a felony conviction, if that's been expunged or reduced to a misdemeanor, or if it's been at least 10 years since your conviction and incarceration. So I think that's really important. We definitely want a cross-section in our jury pools, and this hopefully will open that up.
Representative Ballard, tell us a little bit about how this could potentially help those who have been convicted of a felony, who've been incarcerated, how this could potentially help them integrate and re-enter our community.
I think it sends a very important message, which is we want you to be contributing citizens. Right now, there's so many times, have you been convicted? Yes, I have. Then you're off, regardless of how many decades ago you had that conviction. So a lot of the changes that we've been making in the Department of Corrections legislatively, as well as with our new director, Brian Redd, have really helped for those who are currently incarcerated to have a hope for a different life, different opportunities, different vocations, how to be a reentering citizen from day one instead of you're under a roof and now you're not, so we're still going to hold that against you for the rest of your life.
Yeah. And you mentioned some modifications to the language of this bill that you're sponsoring. Of course, we are talking about juror eligibility amendments. It is still in draft form. We don't have language published on the website, but we have a draft of it here in front of us. Tell us, where are your colleagues in the Utah House of Representatives and perhaps in the Utah Senate? Do you have support for this bill as you go forward in the session?
Yes, we actually heard this bill in its entirety in the November interim meeting during the interim Law Enforcement and Criminal Justice Committee. So this is public on their website at le.utah.gov. The original form, but also the second version. So because it has passed unanimously in our interim committee, there's a very high likelihood that it could be heard within the first week or two of the general session.
Okay, yeah, great. I appreciate your clarification there. Unanimous recommendation by the interim committee. So that's excellent. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I want to ask you about another bill that you have in process. We have a title of that bill, and I'm sorry for putting you on the spot. Hopefully you're okay talking about this, but it's related. I'm talking about the bill titled Inmate Reentry, Finances, and Debt Modifications. This sounds exciting and relates potentially to the juror amendments bill.
Or at least in terms of helping people reintegrate and make them feel like they're part of the community again.
Yes.
I love this.
Tell us about this bill if you can. I'm sorry to put you on the spot.
No, absolutely. So 80% of those who are incarcerated do not have a high school diploma, which means how do you think that they manage their money before or after incarceration? So one thing I came to find is that our state debt agencies, whether it is for child support and recovery services, or for debt, for the Utah Office of Debt Collections, they don't ever communicate with our corrections. So if someone is incarcerated, they keep charging them what they were before they were incarcerated, and then maybe a few months later, a family member says, no, they've been incarcerated, so they stop, they put a hold. So this bill really is working on two things. One of them is to have our state agencies actually collaborate with the Department of Corrections, that they are notified within 90 days of either jail time or incarceration that their bills need to be put on a hold or at least reconsidered, and then also 90 days from the time they get out. And the reason why that's so important is because if you imagine you're incarcerated and then you get out with $45,000 of debt because they kept charging you, that's a problem. So much of my work in all of my legislative work is really how can we help government work more like a business? How can we be more efficient? How are we supposed to be and expecting government to collaborate this information? So part of this part of this financial bill is also, while they're incarcerated, they oftentimes have money from the outside that is coming in every month to support them, whether it's $100, whether it's, give or take. And they have a job opportunity periodically, and that gets pennies. But if we can help them while they're incarcerated to actually learn how to manage their money and know what the incentives are. The legislature actually passed legislation that while incarcerated, if they have restitution to the victim that is owed, and they pay 25 cents while incarcerated, the state will pay 75 cents.
Oh, wow.
So we want the families to know this. We want those who are incarcerated to be part of society. We want them to be contributing. We want them to know what those debts are, understand the incentives while they're incarcerated, help them to learn how to manage money, and then when they get out, to be able to help them to do the same. One huge problem that they have when they get out is there's so many different agencies. They don't know who's garnishing their wages. They don't know how much debt they have left. They don't know who they're supposed to renegotiate with. So all of this is to realign. My biggest challenge that we have in the legislature is funding. Yeah. This will probably cost about $100,000, which in the big scheme of things doesn't seem like much, but we still have to get every bill supported and funded. And so that's where I would literally love the public's help to have support, to be able to say, our government agencies should be collaborating anyway. Why are you waiting for a legislator to tell you that you should be communicating with the Department of Corrections for those who are under your roof?
Let me ask you another question. I think we've only got about a minute left. But earlier when you talked about juror eligibility, and I think it would also apply to this bill that you're talking about, you said we were prompted by the courts, or the courts gave us. Do you get those? Did the courts contact you once in a while and say, hey, we ought to consider this? I never thought of that, I guess.
This is the first time for me regarding a bill. The rest of it is from personal experience, from all the legislation last year, HB 248, HB 194, 2 years before that, of changes for what's happening in the Department of Corrections, is because you and I have a family member, friend, neighbor, who has been or is incarcerated, and there's a lot of barriers. We want to help them to be contributing citizens in our community.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Representative Melissa Ballard, thank you so much for joining us here in person at KSL News Radio on Inside Sources. A wonderful conversation, Greg. I'm excited about these bills.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll have you back. We'll be close by, especially during the session, of course.
Great.
So, listeners, you can find out more about Representative Ballard's bills by going to le.utah.gov and just search for Representative Melissa Ballard, and you can learn more and even contact. If you're a constituent, reach out and get in contact with Representative Ballard that way. Coming up next here on Inside Sources, we're going to revisit our earlier discussion on birthright citizenship, the battle looming in Washington, D.C. Stay with us.
It's 2:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bomas. KSL's top local story this hour. People in Huntsville have water in their homes again, but they can't drink or cook with it. Huntsville Mayor Richard Sorensen tells David Dujanovic they're still trying to find a major leak in the water system and then clean it out and fill up their water tank again.
Originally trying to shoot for Thursday or Friday. I hope that's still close, but with draining and filling the tank, I think we may be pushed back probably beyond that.
Sorensen says they think a part of their pipe is completely fractured. That sends nearly 200 gallons of water into the ground every minute. The good news is he says they could end up getting some state funds or a grant to help pay for the repairs. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Federal law enforcement on the scene of a shooting at the Abundant Life Christian School, private school in Madison, Wisconsin, and Madison Police Chief Sean Barnes.
3 people are dead, including the suspect shooter. We know that the suspect shooter was a teenage student who attended the school.
Police haven't released the shooter's age or gender. The 2 victims were a teacher and a teenage student. 6 people were injured, including 2 critically wounded students. Your money at this moment, at the end of trading today, the Dow Jones average was down 110 points. The NASDAQ, on the other hand, was up 247. The S&P 500 up 22 today. And our KSL weather looks like clouds today, but they'll clear up over the next several days. That's next. KSL News Time 2:31.
News doesn't just mean information or dates.
It's the story of our local history being told in real time.
Be a part of the story. This is Tim Hughes and Amanda Dixon.
We hope to be a part of your story. We have you covered on KSL News Radio.
Hello, car donation hotline.
Hi, I'd like to donate a car to the Utah Kidney Foundation. Are you in Utah?
Awesome. Let's get some info and we'll send you a tow truck.
But I want my car donation to benefit my neighbor in Farmington who needs a transplant. Are you in Utah?
That's a no. I'm in SoCal, but you're still donating to charity.
What charity?
Doesn't matter.
Yes, I want my donation to stay in Utah.
Righteous dude. You need to call tow cars in Utah. Locals only, am I right?
Oh, yeah. I remember tow cars with a K like kidney. It's on a billboard somewhere. TOWKARS.org. That's it. Towcars.org.
If you'd like your vehicle donation to help Utah kidney patients in the Beehive State, please use the web address on their billboard, towcars.org, to donate your old car or truck. That's TOWK like kidney, ARS. Towcars.org.
Get up to a 30% upfront bonus to use for your retirement income, or up to 12% per year to help grow your retirement income. Whether you're in retirement or will be retiring within 10 years, Trajan Wealth can offer some of the highest guarantees in the business. I'm Jeff Jr. with Trajan Wealth, and I know no one wants to work forever. We all need to retire someday, and I know you've worked hard for your money, so now is the time to guarantee it. Take advantage of up to a 30% upfront bonus for your retirement income, or up to 12% per year for retirement income. Don't woulda, shoulda, coulda. Get up to a 30% bonus just for opening an account, or up to 12% per year for retirement income. Don't leave your retirement to chance. Retire the right way, the Trajan way, with Trajan Wealth. Call Trajan today at 801-899-7600. That's 801-899-7600.
Annuity guarantees are based on the claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company. DBA in most states says Trajan Wealth Insurance Solutions.
This Friday from 10 to 1, the movie show comes to Sound Sleep Medical. But first, take the time to learn about a better night's rest. Sound Sleep Medical delivers oral appliance therapy that treats sleep apnea without the use of CPAP machines. They're professionally fit, warranted, and covered by most major medical insurance. In the days of a poor night's sleep, Sound Sleep Medical will help. Call Sound Sleep Medical at 801-716-8672 for details. Sound Sleep Medical.
Tim and Amanda.
Do I look forward to reporting the news? Yes, insofar as it helps me understand what's happening.
We know that it's important information that's going to impact people's lives, and so that makes the job of reporting the news that day easier.
Utah's Morning News between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Sinclair. Save on every gallon with the Dino Pay app. Here's Ricky Meese.
We do have a medical situation in traffic. This is in Murray, southbound I-15 at the I-215 junction, the south interchange, and emergency crews are blocking the right lane of travel. Also a crash in Magna, eastbound SR 201 at 8400 west, out of traffic on the right. UTA is road therapy. Give your car a break and get more U-time. Plan your trip at rideuta.com or on the Transit app. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Partly cloudy skies with a chance of showers in northern Utah, then clearing up later this week with an inversion building back up. And right now, we're at 44 degrees. It's mostly cloudy. I'm Dan Bomas from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Inside Sources. Inside Sources. A new presidency, new state leaders, and a new legislative session. Utah's top political experts discuss the day's biggest stories. Only on KSL News Radio.
Welcome back to KSL Inside Sources. This is Taylor Morgan here with Greg Skordas. And fortunately for me, that is KSL legal analyst Greg Skordas. Greg is an expert on all things law related. Greg, we are now going to revisit the conversation that we started a little bit earlier in the program about the looming fight between the incoming Donald Trump administration, congressional leaders, and the U.S. Supreme Court over birthright citizenship. This all ties to the 14th Amendment. Let's revisit this, Greg. Can you remind our listeners about the 14th Amendment, what it is, when it passed, and what it was intended to do back when it did first become an amendment?
Yeah, so the 14th Amendment was adopted in 1868, right after the Civil War, along with two other amendments that dealt with how we were going to address the slavery issue. And specifically, the 14th Amendment says the following: all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. And the reason that was passed at that time is because of the Congress's sort of nervousness about southern states not giving slaves citizenship. So what they're saying was, if you're born here, you're a citizen. So effectively what it meant was all of the slaves became citizens. And of course the 15th and 16th Amendments also gave voting rights and other rights to individuals that had formerly been slaves. So it was,
and all of that was based on citizenship.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Right. So citizenship. So Trump has come along, and a lot of people have felt the same way, which is to say, why should being born in the United States automatically make you a citizen? What if you're here? What if your family's here illegally? You know, what if you're? I mean, what if any of a number of things? And so he said that shouldn't be enough to give you birthright citizenship. And just because you're born here, you shouldn't automatically become a citizen. So there's a couple avenues that could be done here. One is change the Constitution. Of course, to change the Constitution is a mammoth endeavor. You have to get 2/3 of both houses. So, in other words, it ain't happening.
And then it has to go back to the states.
And 3/4 of the states have to approve it by a majority vote. So,
do you recall, and I'm putting you on the spot, Greg, I'm sorry, but do you remember the last time we actually amended the Constitution nationally?
I don't.
Yeah, right?
I remember that the Equal Rights Amendment sort of got through the first two hurdles, but they could never get the 3/4 of the states, and now it's in limbo. Who knows where that'll ever end up? But yeah, so that avenue, Taylor, probably isn't going to happen.
No,
I don't think. I mean, Democrats are not going to allow that to occur. But Trump has another sort of card to play, and that is the current makeup of the Supreme Court, which, as we know, is let's face it, is 6-3 conservative.
Yes, and many of them serving on the court thanks to an appointment by Donald Trump in his first term.
So, exactly. So they are in the position to interpret the 14th Amendment, to make interpretations of it, and maybe go back to sort of this originalist, what did the Founding Fathers really mean? And what they meant was free the slaves. Did they mean people who are entering the country illegally are automatically citizens? I don't know. I think that's going to be debated.
Yeah.
And I think that what's going to happen here is Trump is going to enter an executive order saying birthright is no longer an automatic citizenship. And someone's going to take that to court say, wait a minute, that's what we've all
will then end up before the U.S. Supreme Court.
Right. But it'll be, so I'm just guessing, because I don't see this working its way through the legislative process. I don't see 2/3 of the House and 2/3 of the Senate and 3/4 of the state ratifying that.
Right, yeah.
Even though, let's face it, most citizens, I think if you ask most citizens, they would say, that doesn't make sense, birthright citizenship. You know what I mean? I think if you ask America as a whole, if you put it on the ballot, it probably would change. But right now, because of the way it was placed into effect, which was, 156 years ago, to let's right some wrongs in terms of the slavery thing, it's there. And what does it mean in 2024?
Yeah. A lot of this, Greg, has centered around, and this is how the Donald Trump team, how his campaign has been talking about this, as well as some conservatives. They are focusing on those who visit the United States illegally explicitly to have children on U.S. soil to gain advantages of citizenship for the children, right? That is really kind of what all this centers around, right? And the argument would be that, should we give birthright citizenship to children of those who come to the country illegally just to get the birthright citizenship?
Right, and that's the problem, and that's why because people know that.
Yeah.
They know that that's a path to citizenship, because otherwise, if you're here in the country illegally, or even with a work permit or something like that, the path to citizenship is painful. It's arduous. I mean, I've tried to help people become citizens, and it's just really difficult, and it's very time consuming. And frankly, let's admit it, right now in our country with the immigration issues and the problems that we're having, especially with the allegations of criminal activity by illegal immigrants and whatnot, we're not necessarily working on a path to citizenship for most people. We're not streamlining the citizenship process. Just the opposite. We're sort of streamlining the deportation process and sort of making it a little easier to get rid of people. But what does that do to families? If your children are born here and they're citizens, but mom and dad aren't, what does that do to families? And I think Trump's answer is, well, we'll keep the family together by deporting everybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I can understand that logic. It just doesn't sound the best, and I think that's something that Democrats are never going to buy off on.
Yeah, it has been reported that Donald Trump, the Donald Trump administration, the incoming team in the future Trump White House has proposed some specifics dealing with this, Greg. They have talked about the executive order, as you mentioned, and in that executive order, essentially the federal government would no longer issue passports or social security numbers to newborns who are not born of U.S. citizens or green card holders.
Right.
So that could be the makeup of that executive order. Now, what's interesting is we know that all three branches of the federal government can interpret the Constitution as they will. Of course, the U.S. Supreme Court has the final say. So if we walk through the legal timeline here, Greg, and you are the expert on this, say Donald Trump issues that executive order early in his administration. He will be sworn in on January 20th. If he does that this winter or early in the spring, what happens next with any legal action?
So someone will file a lawsuit in a district court in some state.
Okay.
They will run it through the gamut. You need to go through the entire process. But what you're talking about is Trump's going to be in office for 4 years. Will it get to the Supreme Court within 4 years? I would say yes. I would say it's very likely. So you file a petition. You say, hey, I've applied for citizenship. This new executive order has come out and it says I'm not a citizen, even though I was born here. File a petition with a judge and say this law, this executive order, is unconstitutional. It flies in the face of the 14th Amendment. District court hears it, a federal court. It'll go up to the Court of Appeals, one of the circuit courts, ultimately end up at the Supreme Court, which is, I think, what Trump is banking on, because he's got his 6-3 majority there. Who knows how they'll interpret this? This is an interpretation of the Constitution without changing the Constitution, and it's a change of the way we have considered the Constitution for a century and a half. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Well, if anything, this U.S. Supreme Court has not been tied to precedent or to interpretations by previous justices, so this could become very interesting. Of course, listeners, you will want to make sure that you sign up to get KSL's newsletter to track this story and others. You will get the 3 things you need to know each day. To sign up, just text the word inbox to 57500. That will get you started. Coming up after the break in our final segment, we are going to talk about a new website, Greg, that provides a little more information about prospective neighbors than the traditional real estate website does. That could be interesting, coming up after the break.
When you crash your car, you get it fixed. When your computer crashes, you get a new one. But what will you do if you've been saving in a 401k or an IRA and the market crashes? If you're in your 30s or 40s, you'll be just fine. But if you're in or near retirement, you could be in trouble. Mike Stevens and his team at Capital Wealth Advisors are here to help. They can run a risk analysis to see if you're too heavily invested in the market. Don't let the ups and downs of Wall Street control you or your retirement dreams. Call 801-210-5500 today to schedule your risk analysis with Mike Stevens and the team at Capital Wealth Advisors. That's 801-210-5500. Crashes happen. Question is, are you ready? Capital Wealth Advisors, 801-210-5500. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Advisory services offered through Capital Wealth Advisors, LLC, a state of Utah registered investment advisor.
Did you know your life insurance is an asset you can sell? I'm Jay Jackson, CEO of Abacus Life. For almost 20 years, Abacus has been purchasing life insurance policies from seniors just like you. And at abacuspays.com, we've created a free policy value calculator so you can find out the worth of your policy in just seconds. There are no fees and no obligations. Get real value from your life insurance when you need it with Abacus. Learn more at abacuspays.com.
I don't feel so good.
You do feel hot. Dayquil Kids will take care of that fever.
What about my cough?
Dayquil Kids has that covered.
Will it make my throat feel better?
Yes, that too.
But will it taste good?
Yep, Dayquil Kids comes in your favorite flavor.
Purple?
Well, yes, it's grape.
Try new Dayquil Kids Plus Fever, the daytime coughing, aching, sore throat fever just for kids medicine. Safe for kids 6+. Use as directed.
Join KSL News Radio's Greenhouse Show live at ARUP in Sandy this Saturday, December 21st. Help grow the blood supply this holiday. The first 30 donors will receive a poinsettia courtesy of Olson's Greenhouse. Visit utahblood.org.
Salt Lake City Fat Loss is having a huge holiday sale, almost 20% off, making it our lowest prices of the year. You can start the program before, during, or after the holidays. We know the secret to losing up to 1 pound of fat every day with no prepackaged meals, no injections, or surgery. The secret is our program helps reset your metabolism so you can keep the weight off for good. To learn how our clients on average lowered their metabolic age by 17 years, go to slcfatloss.com now to schedule your free consultation and learn why your metabolism may be sabotaging your weight loss goals.
I'm Maria Chaleos, and I'm so glad to have Salt Lake City Fat Loss on my side during the holiday season when many people gain weight. I'm keeping off that 40 pounds and staying accountable with their great app. Jumpstart your weight loss before the holidays. Check it out at slcfatloss.com. slcfatloss.com.
Go to slcfatloss.com and save big now. Almost 20% off, only through December 31st. Results may vary.
Any Hour Services can help you make sure your furnace keeps you warm this winter. Whether you need a tune-up, a repair, or a second opinion about replacing it, call Any Hour Services or visit anyhourservices.com.
Dave and Dujanovic.
If you're driving to work or you're driving the kids to a soccer game, we're your in-car companions.
People will come up to me and say, "Oh, I talk to you every day. You don't realize it because I'm talking at the radio, but I talk to you every day."
Listen for Dave and Dujanovic 9 to noon on KSL News Radio.
With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bomas. First, residents of Huntsville still have to boil their water, but at least it's flowing from the taps again. Second, police in Madison, Wisconsin haven't said yet whether the student responsible for a shooting at a private school was a boy or a girl. The shooter was one of 3 people who died. Third, there's a new resource now to help people in Salt Lake County suffering from severe mental illness. 44 degrees, mostly cloudy in Salt Lake City. And back to Inside Sources on KSL News Radio.
Inside Sources. Inside Sources on KSL News Radio.
Welcome back to Inside Sources. I'm Greg Skordas alongside Taylor Morgan, who recently bought a new home. And I'm going to ask you this, Taylor.
Yeah.
Did you do any research on your neighbor's political
Greg,
leanings?
you're going to get me in trouble now.
Oh, come on.
There are always some common sense things that you want to research, perhaps, before you commit to buying a new home or moving into a new area. Just as a matter of course, always a good idea to check the sex offender database, right? The registry in the state. The state provides that to Utahns, I think, for one good reason is to help keep your kids safe and kind of know who is living or could be living around you potentially. So that's always something we're checking out.
I have to cut you off right there.
Yeah, please, yeah.
In my entire lifetime,
okay,
I have never looked at the sex offender database.
Really?
And it's a personal thing for me.
Yeah.
Because I think it's a bad thing we did.
Oh, interesting.
But anyway, that's a different day. It's a different subject.
I appreciate you offering a different perspective there, Greg. That's interesting to hear.
But you have kids,
I
and so
do.
when you're moving into an area, you would want to know that.
Okay.
We're empty nesters.
I want to get into this debate with you, but let's save it for another time. No, Don't be sorry.
Yeah, I'm going off on a tangent here. Well, there is a new real estate platform that will allow buyers to see the political affiliations of their future neighbors and how many dogs may be living on their block.
Wait, really about the dogs? Is that a thing?
That's what it says. Tech startup Odyssey believes social data like age, education, and income demographics is influencing buyers more than the physical conditions of a home.
I can't. No, I don't.
But I
believe
started this by asking you if you did a little research, and I suppose you did. I mean, you do something. You look around. I'm not asking you to disclose anything personal, but you looked at the neighborhood.
Well, and as a political consultant in my day job as a partner at Morgan May Public Affairs, I do have access to some data and tools that we use for clients and campaigns. That database has information about Utah voters, Greg, and I may have dabbled a little bit with some of that data before I committed to my new neighborhood. But Greg, what we're talking about here with this new real estate platform is
Odyssey.
Yeah.
Soft launching in South Florida and New York City this month. Developed a website that lets buyers search for homes as well as a tool that streamlines contract negotiations. It's an attempt to simplify how buyers work with real estate agents following a big shakeup in the industry, and also helps them learning more things about education, income demographics, that type of thing that might be important if you're buying a home.
Yeah. And it is the political component of this, Greg, that really could be controversial, really, I don't know, might shake up the real estate industry a little bit. Greg, what do you think? What is your first reaction when you hear that people may be using political information about prospective neighbors as, a tool to help make a decision about where they want to live? Is this good? Is this bad? How did you react?
I think it's good. It's not something I would do because I think the diversity makes the neighborhood more interesting. But I think if people feel strongly that they don't want to live in a neighborhood with a bunch of MAGA people, or a neighborhood that is sort of taking out, that's looking at Kamala Harris and that type of thing, maybe you want to be with a group of your friends, a group of people that are like-minded. I think our neighborhood where I live up in Eden is beautiful because we are all over the place. I mean, even the group that we get together with on Friday night and sit and talk, they're everywhere. And which is good and bad. It's bad in the sense that you just don't talk politics with our neighbors. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's good in that everybody's got their own opinion and we're all living together. So I don't know. I think it's a tool that people can use. I think it's something if people really are interested in that, they should be able to find out as much as they can about their neighbors, find out about their political, their financial. It sounds like there's more that you're going to find out just about that. One thing said you can find out how many dogs are living on their block. I don't know why you'd need that, but
you don't want dogs pooping on your front lawn.
But I'm
not
also
sure.
wondering what's this Odyssey, how it will find people's political affiliations. Because if you look at Utah Voter, it's more precinct, isn't it? When you look at the vote count in a specific area, is there a way to find out?
Well, of course, all voter registration records include party affiliation as a component of that voter record. A voter record is a public record unless a voter has opted in to making it private. So party affiliation, of course, is tied to that public record, so that might be one way to get it. However, I know that there are a lot of other sources of data, consumer data, third-party data, that could inform this new real estate platform to provide information about the political leanings of prospective neighbors. Now, it's one thing to know which party someone is registered with. That doesn't tell you, though, for whom they vote. Of course, that's constitutionally protected, is secret. But we can identify how voters tend to lean politically, ideologically, very, very conservative to very, very liberal. We can come up with a model or a score, right, that gives us a sense that can be pretty accurate to help, have a sense of who a voter is most likely to support. Of course, we're talking about the new real estate platform. The website is oysssey.com. I'm not sure.
I keep calling it Odyssey.
Yeah, I'm not sure how you pronounce that, Greg.
Odyssey without the O.
Yeah, there you go.
Or without the D, rather.
oysssey.com is the website. This is a tech startup that is looking to shake up the real estate industry. It is soft launching in South Florida and New York City this month.
Oysssey. Let me ask you this. Do you think that this information, and maybe I'm out in the weeds here, could affect prices, could affect the value of homes. That is, certain areas become more attractive to
For
more
example,
buyers.
if you have a neighborhood where there's a Kamala Harris lawn sign out in front of every house, that probably kills your property values, right, Greg?
That's what I'm wondering. I mean, does that affect property values at all?
I don't know. That's a great question. I mean, potentially, maybe if this new platform catches on, we could see, hypothetically, the political disposition of a neighborhood impacting its property values. I don't know, Greg.
We often think that people that are coming in from out of state are more liberal, but we're learning sort of just the opposite, that the in-migration of Utahns, at least in terms of what's happening voter-wise in the last couple of years, have shown that people are coming in that are equally conservative, or maybe even more so
They're
than the
political refugees fleeing the failed liberal policies of California,
right.
Washington, Oregon. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe that's going to be something that we have to keep an eye on as well. I just thought it was interesting. I'm all in favor of making purchases as open-eyed as possible, giving buyers as much information as possible. Like I said, to me, I wouldn't have accessed this. I wouldn't have wanted to know, but I can see where some people would.
Yeah, I'm more concerned, Greg, about the people that would find out information about me and then choose not to live by me.
But how would you
I would
know?
miss out on the opportunity to make new friends, or perhaps even, Greg, persuade people to the way I see things. I don't know. I'm not a big fan. I'll be honest. I don't like this because I don't like self-selecting, in a sense. I don't like retreating to our own echo chambers and corners and surrounding ourselves with people who agree with us politically, have the same opinions, and see the world in the same way. I think that's part of the problem. That's part of the divide in our country.
Right.
Because one thing I have learned in my experience, just in life and especially in politics, is when you spend time in person with another human and actually get to know them, it doesn't matter what their politics are. You can learn to respect them, like them. You may often find you have more in common than you don't. So I don't know that I'm a fan of this.
I think you and I are a perfect example of that.
Yeah.
The more time I spend with you, the more I have in common with you.
Oh.
And even though we're a little bit different leanings politically.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to Inside Sources. Join Leah Murray and Adam Gardner tomorrow from 1 to 3 p.m. for more political discussion and analysis on Inside Sources. Next up, Jeff Kaplan's Afternoon News with Maria Chaleos, I believe. Have a great day.